Hello and welcome to SE Ranking's Do Follow podcast. Here, we hold regular talks with SEO and digital marketing experts to discuss hot SEO topics and share actionable insights with the SEO community. So, subscribe to stay on top of everything going on in SEO. In today's episode, we're going to discuss one of the biggest shifts in the world of SEO, the rise of machine learning and AI. As technology has advanced, search engines have become more sophisticated in understanding the intent behind user searches, and machine learning algorithms have played a significant role in this evolution. As a result, SEO professionals are increasingly incorporating machine learning and AI into their strategies to stay ahead of the curve. So, how can you benefit from these technologies? Can we gain deeper insights into user behavior? Can we optimize content for specific user intents? And what about automating certain aspects of the SEO workflow? Well, you've come to the right place if you want to get answers to these and other questions. Today, I am joined by two amazing experts in the field of SEO, and I'll be sure to ask them to provide more information about themselves. So we have Bertram and Christopher Burres. I'm hoping I got the names right, guys. Let me know if I didn't.
You did.
Welcome and great to have you with us. So I just want to say a couple of things about our experts and then give them a word to talk about their origin story, the long and short of where they got to, of how they got to where they are today. So Bertram is a seasoned digital marketer, entrepreneur, and contributor to various media outlets. He currently serves as the Chief Marketing Officer at Oil and Gas Global Network and as the Head of Digital Strategy at EWR, formerly known as eWeb Results Digital, which is a full-service digital marketing agency. These sound like two very different things, although they are involved in marketing. But Matt, could you please say a couple of words about how you got to where you are today and involved in this field?
Well, it really came from the sales side of things. I came up through sales, direct response marketing, email spamming before the Can Spam Act, was fax blasting, really from the sales side of things, and then started to leverage digital marketing. And so joined Chris about 6-7 years ago, and then have been slowly taken over. I came on the host of Chris's podcast. It's 10 years long running Best SEO podcast. From there, it been growing and evolving. And really, I'm a fractional CMO at a number of companies. One is the largest oil and gas podcasting network. Had a lot of experience through our podcast to step into that role and then leverage and amplify what's going on from the content creation standpoint through digital advertising and digital marketing. So it's certainly a pretty clear progression for me. I think that the biggest thing that I'm seeing is you have to really understand sales to do marketing, because marketing is really like sales online, in my opinion.
Thank you, and great to have you with us. And I would also say I'd like to introduce Christopher Burres, who is a successful entrepreneur and digital marketing expert. He is the co-owner of SES Research Incorporated, where Chris specializes in researching and manufacturing supplements that enhance cognitive health, longevity, and overall well-being. Plus, Chris also is the co-owner of the same digital agency that Matt works for, EWR Digital. Great to have you with us, Chris. Could you please say how you got to where you are today? Because I see you have amazing experience that spans across decades.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you so much for having us. SE Ranking is certainly the tool that we use now. So when you guys reached out to us and said, hey, let's do a podcast together, we were 100% on board. I really started, really at the time, it was eWeb Style. So we've gone through a couple of names back in 1999 with another business partner. We kind of evolved that very quickly into an SEO agency, started a podcast in 2009. That's the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. Really, we did that for really kind of two main purposes. The first one was, how do we give back to the community, right? So we're sharing, we're getting information out of the community. How do we give that information back? And then the other was a way to train our own team on the best tools and techniques, the latest tools and techniques to perform SEO. Started that in 2009. Really, I had another business that was doing well and started to really kind of take off in the supplement space. And I kind of shifted my focus. It was right about the time Matt and I started working together. I think Matt could fairly say that I abandoned him. And he's a fully capable CEO. And so we chat kind of multiple times a week, typically, about what's going on inside of EWR, and then get together weekly to do the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. And again, those two purposes stand at the forefront for us. We want to make sure that we're giving back to the SEO community, marketing community in general. It's really kind of gotten a little bit broader, and provide a tool and really kind of a culture for EWR Digital to deliver great SEO value and great kind of internet marketing value to our customers.
Appreciate you being here, guys. So let's probably start our discussion about machine learning and AI and SEO and digital marketing. And the first question is basically to get our definitions straight. So what are machine learning and AI in digital marketing and SEO? Perhaps we could start with Chris.
He's going to throw that to me. And also Andrew's going to throw that to me. Right. So machine language has been something that's coming up to the forefront. It's one of those, classically success. Everyone's like, look, he's an overnight success. And they don't talk about the 10, 20 years that person has been laboring, with much effort and not much acclaim. And then finally they reach this pinnacle. I think we're really getting there with AI. Google's been using AI in their tools. So you got artificial intelligence. It's the ability for the machine, which isn't coded to know things in the beginning, to through the process of receiving information, right? Whatever that input is, there's a broad base of information, it could be images, it could be content, whatever that information is, receiving that information and learning from that information. So not necessarily coded. One of the unique artifacts, I used to do coding almost exclusively and really never got into the AI side of things. It's another kind of realm. What I do understand is that there are AI coders who don't know exactly what's going to happen with the code that they release, because in fact, that machine is learning. So that's the machine learning and the artificial intelligence piece. I don't know if you've got anything to add to that, but that's how I see it.
I think it's about data sets, right? It's about feeding data sets and understanding that data. And Google's been doing that. The original algorithms that were written for Google that they keep layering on. And now this is just the next evolution. Interesting fact about AI that I just heard, ChatGPT just passed the Harvard bar exam, and it also passed the business exam. And that's because of the massive size of the data set.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's how it sorts the data, and it's how it delivers the data. And so it is a combination of machine learning and, AI is using these big data sets to learn from the data and to evolve is kind of what you were speaking to. So I think that it just does a lot of things for you now, is how it might be defined today by a layperson. So.
All right, appreciate it, guys. And the next question is a bit scary, especially for people involved in creating content. So will AI and machine learning be able to replace humans in SEO and perhaps in content anytime soon? And if so, to what extent?
It's the end of the world for content writers. I don't know if you know this, Andrew. It's also the end of the world for SEO. I think that's been announced, each year for the last 8-10 years.
SEO's dead. Long live SEO.
Right.
It was changed. Right.
I think if you look at what we just described in terms of AI, which is it's taking this existing data and it's processing it into content potentially, right? If it's a content generation AI. The challenge is what Google really likes. If you think in terms of writing SEO for Google, well, yes, that can do newsletters. That's true, because people who are receiving newsletters don't really expect cutting edge information. If they can just get good information that's well written, great. But if you're trying to write SEO articles and you're just writing the same old stuff, and I've got some comments about Google's understanding, I think it's a question later, Google's understanding of, is it AI writing? But if you're just regurgitating the same information because you've collected it from a data set, that's not what really tickles Google's fancy, right? What really is impressive to Google, what Google really gives precedent to, and it's also not even that great of an experience for the consumers of the information. What they're really focused on is, what is the new information? What is the counterpoint? What is the, technology has moved forward, so we got to talk about this feature on the cell phone, or we've got to talk about this new process or tool or software in the SEO space. So my kind of short answer is, yeah, it's not happening anytime soon, but it's just going to continue to get better.
Okay, so the question being, how is it going to affect writers and how is it going to affect the SEO industry? Well, SEO has always been a moving target. That's one, right? And so there's this continued evolution that happens. What is AI doing? It's making people more efficient, right? So you can do more with less. So there's going to be a lot less content writers out there because you can leverage AI to write different kind of content. There's going to be more of a focus on prompts. Write it like this person, write it like this style, so it can pull from these data sets to write content differently. You're still going to need an operator, but you might need an operator and you can generate much more content than you needed before. One of the big things, which again, I think we'll talk about later, is EAT, experience, authoritative trust, and the experience piece is what I'm seeing already start happening. And you need a person to curate that content that the AI puts together. So will there be a lot less SEOs? Yes. Will there be a lot less content writers? Yes. Is it a arms race to create as much content as quickly as possible to deliver quality information to the user? Absolutely. I mean, Google even threw its hands up recently in an article saying AI content's okay as long as it's good for the user. It was against its policy before. So it's here, it's happening. Or is it going to displace jobs? Absolutely. Is it going to displace jobs across multiple industries? I mean, like like I said, it passed the Harvard bar exam, the MBA program. I mean, it's going to replace lawyers, or there's going to be a lot less lawyers. It can write contracts. I mean, AI, depending on the data set you feed it, can do almost anything. So yeah, content writers are scared, and they should be, but there's going to be a new evolution of people that use these prompts differently to be more productive. I think that's the answer. So if there's more productivity, there's probably going to be less.
Would you advise relying on AI-powered tools for creating content? So how would you use them so that Google will never fall on Google's bad side? Because like right now you said that Google sort of is okay with it, but at the same time, there have been tools that sort of can tell if content was created by AI and mark it, so that, for example, at schools, universities, so that students won't just go crazy and not write a single thing in their life ever again. So basically, just to reiterate, the question is, do you advise relying heavily on these tools for creating content?
Andrew, I think that's a great question. Certainly, content geared towards the user based on the new guidelines that came out, like human first, like interactions, is so important. I think what's happening in schools, like at the zoo, okay, like the industry's a zoo, it's so disruptive. What I think is going to happen, right? And I've already kind of started to see this. You can use basic prompts. So I think, again, this race of content generation, people are going, hey, write this article about this, right? And you can only write about whatever, remodeling a kitchen so many times, right? Based on the data set that people are using. So unless you change the prompts, there's going to be that content that's first created that Google's going to give the most authority to, and it's going to say, hey, all these other things are duplicate content. Then with enough people using that duplicate content, it's going to trigger something, I believe, that's going to say, hey, this is AI-generated content or all AI-generated content. So it's going to devalue all that content. Yeah. I think that talking about the EAT, the experience piece that they're adding on there, you're going to have to inject into that a personalized experience. I'm even seeing that in web searches, like you have to show your portfolio, you have to show testimonials, and it has to be specific to that query and to what people are asking. So, there's this shift that I think is going to happen in content generation, and AI content, if it's all AI generated and it's written really, really well because it's very succinct, but it writes stuff in the same way. And that's how these tools can tell if it's written by AI. It wants you to say it's written by AI or supported by AI. I mean, I wrote some articles that were all AI, and then all the images were AI. And I said, hey, this was written by AI, and I supported it. Like, right? I think right now that content's going to rank great, okay? Because it's writing content to speak to the algorithms in the best way possible, the most succinct way possible. But if you use the same type of prompt for multiple different types of searches, it starts to answer the question the same, and it can change it up only a few times. So again, over time, that's going to have an effect. And the only way to combat that is to interject that live experience into what's going on. And really, not all the content should be written by AI or to manipulate search engines. It should be speaking to the user, speaking to the person first, answering their question. That's what Google's going to look at. Is this answering the question the best? And is it providing that expertise, authoritative, trust, and experience to what's going on? So I think it can be leveraged as a tool, but I don't advise all AI-generated content. I think it can be interjected to enhance things. I think it's really good, actually, to use it to put your thoughts together.
Yep.
What are the topics? What are the ideas?
There's actually a question that I wanted to ask you guys. You can just add a prompt and have a ready text, or you could maybe ask it to create a couple of paragraphs, or maybe you wrote something and you inserted your own text. So basically, I'm just voicing different ways of creating content using AI with the help of humans. And my question is, how do you approach AI generated content? Like, would you give it to a content writer to at least look at it, or to an SEO specialist, or just there's so many ways of doing it. I just wanted to find out how you guys see this.
Yeah. I think a good path, and I'm not doing this. Really, Matt would be more focused and is doing a lot more kind of messing with and kind of utilizing this AI. In my mind, it's like, hey, if you've got to write another article about kitchen remodeling, then you can say, what are the top 10 things people are concerned about with kitchen remodeling? So you get this list. And then you might take the first one on the list and say, like, give me 2 paragraphs on that thing, and then give me 2 paragraphs on that thing. And then you want to go in and polish it. Or you just use it to get over writer's block, right? If you don't know what to write about that kitchen remodeling situation, then use it for that top 10 list, or hone in on, what are the most popular tiles, or what's the best equipment for the refrigerator. So you can use it to pull together a lot of information that then you can structure your own article off of. And I think that's how it's going to be used for some time. But then even in just this conversation, I'm like, oh, well, now once you have the top 10 list, why don't you have it write, some paragraph about that top, each of those top 10, so you can get very specific. And I think this is going to, like, we've all watched somebody do a search on Google, and you're like, that's not going to work. Like that search phrase is not going to work, right? And you're like, I could do the search on Google better than that person. Well, that's going to be true of all of this AI stuff. There are going to be people who know how to provide the right prompts that get the content that's going to be the most impactful for the users, and then also continue to manipulate that content. Have the human go in and provide that human element to it. That's going to be important. And remember, storytelling is still the best thing. I don't know how good ChatGPT is. Like, tell me a story about kitchen remodeling.
It's actually really good if you prompt it to act as whoever, right? Like, so you can say, be a award-winning blogger, or you can say, write it in the style of this person, right? And so it can do so much. I think, Andrew, to directly answer your question, like, the best answer possible in marketing, right? It depends, right? It depends on the person. It depends on their skill sets. It depends where they need enhancement to be more productive. I think where it's going to be hard is, we have a larger agency where we try to build standard operating procedures, and we try to build a manufacturing line, right? And so there's really this element of a human touch to it, right? And so, what it might be is, again, the common theme is people are more productive, so you might need less of them, unfortunately, and you need some people that are more experienced in, like, the prompt writing to create the content better. But I can see at every step of the way, depending on what human element you want to add to it, your personal experience you want to add to it, on where you're going to leverage the AI, right? And what your goals and your goals and your skill sets to be able to do that are. It's really going to change for everybody. It's going to depend for everybody. But you can use it everywhere, depending on how well you know how to enter in the search in Google or enter in the prompt.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it, and I can't find anything that it can do. And like basically, you can insert in a URL and ask it to summarize it in different words, create a social media post. There's this, an abundance of ways to use it.
Have you submitted any of that work, Andrew?
Not yet. Not yet. I only signed up.
Not yet.
I only started playing around with ChatGPT on Friday.
My first article, I have a newsletter on LinkedIn and on Web3, a little bit of a tangent, but I was like, hey, I need to get an article out. I haven't done one. I'm supposed to do one a month. Wrote the whole article with AI and then created the images with AI and posted it and did it while I was watching TV within like 20 minutes, right? Like, I mean, and then I started thinking like kids in school, back to what you said, Andrew, it's a zoo. Like it's going to be a zoo. Like everybody's going to have to feel like how to adapt to this. And then it's going to constantly be changing as AI gets better and better. I don't know how kids today are going to grow up with all the different technology pieces of blockchain and Web3 and AI and just like enhancements. Like I know I'm going on tangents, but I don't know how kids are going to deal with this.
They're already not writing in cursive, right? Like they don't learn cursive.
Yeah, I don't even remember cursive.
My kids can't make a signature, right? Like you have to like say, hey, let me sit you down, and you don't know how to do a cursive letter, so let me teach you how to do at least the cursive letters of your name.
It's going to be all prompts.
Yeah.
I mean, again, total tangent. Sorry, Andrew, but I couldn't understand for the life of me why they made me learn how to do like long division and math. And I said, anytime I ever do this in the real world, I will be using a calculator. There will never be an opportunity that I will not go grab a calculator.
I have an answer.
And I was like, why? Like, why do I need to learn that?
I have an answer.
Okay. I need to hear this.
And the answer is that it creates pathways in your brain of the logic necessary to go through this process.
I forgot the one. Like, absolutely. Like, that's what all school's supposed to be.
Yeah. Pathways.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the biggest risk is that it's going to just destroy creativity. You know, people are just going to be submitting the same stuff and not even bother having their own thoughts. So hoping that will not happen and people will be able to adapt either way. It's not a direct segue, but I wanted to talk about a bit more about search engines and specifically like Google and Bing. So how might Google search change once Bard has been fully rolled out? And also know that Bing is also working on something. And the final part of this question, three-parter, it's how will this ultimately change SEO?
To your point, Andrew, I think it's about the effort that you put in. I think that like prompt writing will give people that are creative more of ability to actually express themselves like with AI. I've been playing around with a lot of like AI art, and there's unlimited amounts of prompts. Like, so there's unlimited amounts of images even based on that data set. So I think it's about the effort you put in. But to segue to specifically your question, I would say Bing's actually more advanced right now until Bard rolls out. Also, the data set, if you look at it, Bard's data set until they get to 2.0, 3.0, whatever, is not going to be big as OpenAI's ChatGPT's data set. Okay. So, you know, Google or Bing's out there right now, actually the leader in this. Now there's going to be, you know, laggards, like there's Redbox and maybe there's still Blockbusters around. I don't know. Not everything's streaming.
One in Alaska.
Right. Like I think, Andrew, you're asking me before the interview. My mom worked for Microsoft. We've been talking about getting some people on Microsoft to interview. I love Microsoft. It's like I just love the evolutions. They're heavily in Web3. They're heavily in AI. They're doing amazing things. I mean, I think they're going to be the company Ready Player One. Like I think, I mean, Microsoft's like, I just love Microsoft. But what I would tell you, they're waving their hands up and down saying, look at me. And you got to get on a wait list to utilize it. And certainly you've seen people manipulating the prompts and, you know, it might not have been ready to go to market. Google's been a little bit more reserved about it, but they're ahead until Google injects all the data sets into it. Okay. And there's going to be a subset of the population that's just now getting comfortable with like how to do Google searches that I don't think is going to utilize it. So I don't know how fast that transition is going to happen. I think there's 100 million users of it like already. So I think it is going to be exponential, but I mean, it's just the giants going head to head, but has that changed? You know, I think that this is giving Bing and Microsoft a chance to catch up, because Yahoo and everybody outsourced everything to Google back in the day. Chris, you can even speak to that.
Yeah.
And then they just got so far ahead, it was like, hey, we're not going to catch up. Now this is leveling potentially the playing field. But I mean, you look at phones, it's Apple and Google.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, that's kind of my 2 cents.
Yeah. So Andrew, one, I mean, you know, your concern is like people are not going to be creative and just turn in garbage. You may not have used that word, but let's be honest, like that's happening now. Like, there are lots of people who don't have creative ideas, and it's really the creative ideas that end up standing out, whether it's at the cinema, whether it's in poetry. I don't follow that much poetry, but I'm sure like there's circles where like, wow, that's kind of cutting edge poetry. Wherever it is inside a rap, I certainly follow that. Right. So it is those people who have that creativity that end up standing out. I don't think that that's going to change with any ChatGPT, any AI. It's how do you creatively use the tool? Or, you know, there may be these kind of arcane societies where like we didn't use any ChatGPT to create this particular novel. Right. And so then there's some nostalgia because it's a little more flawed, if you will, or whatever it is. It can be stylized outside of it. That's not going to go away. In fact, it's probably going to be heightened. But you also think about, you know, population growing. So there's a lot more people generating content, you know, this year over the previous 5 years, and then moving on to the future. It really is a lot more content is going to be out there anyway. Now, I think ChatGPT like makes it exponential, at least has a multiple on it, and still it's going to be the creative people who win. So I know you're a content generator. If you're worth your salt, right? You believe you're a good content generator who comes up with creative ideas. That's still going to be a valuable skill.
Yeah, I saw an episode of Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, and he did a deep dive into like this technology. He said like, well, the comedians are among the ones are going to be safe. But the question when I was
so the one industry, let me enter like the one industry that is safe from ChatGPT are comedians.
Like art as well. So it's creative stuff. But the question when I was asking about Google and Bing was like, my concern is, as a business, I'm doing SEO to rank in search engines. And we already heard about the zero position, where you just get an answer to a query without the click to the website. So I'm thinking, once BART rolls out, I will just type in a query and get a straight answer without even going anywhere on a website. Is that true? Is that what's going to happen?
Just real quick, and we've had this has been ongoing probably since the beginning, right? So 6-7 years, where we're talking about how search, right, how verbal search is going to change, voice search is going to change everything. When it comes to a business, I don't think that there's going to be a one-word answer, right? So you're with SE Ranking, you know, what is the best SEO tool? There will never be a one answer to that. Like Bing will never provide the one answer. And this is kind of the point that I've been making with Matt, and we still go back and forth on it. It's fun. Is that the one word answer searches have only one answer, right? Like, so what is they should have only one answer. Everything's changing.
What's the recipe for what?
Yeah. What's the recipe? What's the population? Where's the nearest McDonald's? All those are going to be the one result searches. If you're getting into something where a business is more likely to be involved and it's a competitive situation, then I don't think you're going to end up with one word. Now, you may end up with one article where it outlines, hey, these are clearly the top 3 SEO tools, and so you should consider these. But even then, like, from what perspective? Right? Because some tools have this benefit, other tools don't have that benefit, but they have other, so I think from the framework of a business trying to do well in SEO, there's we still got a long way to go. You've got to write better content that engages the user better, has better formatting, has better images. Like all of that stuff is going to be what causes people to stay on the page.
I mean, it's a moving target, right? It's going to continue to evolve. The AI is going to get better.
It depends.
And then, and then we're gonna have to evolve based upon those updates and those changes. So it's this ever evolving process. What I am seeing on Bing, and this is where I do think it's going to go. And immediately, what I thought when ChatGPT rolled out, as it was going to like, how is this going to affect SEOs? They're going to put a lot more weight on links, on link building. I think they're going to turn the dial back to links. That's the core of the search engine. What I am seeing with Bing doing right now is it's referencing the sources. Like, so I think that the answer is going to be here, right? If it's written, right, and it's not voice, it's going to be written, or maybe even in voice, it's going to cite where it got this data set from to write this article, right? And so it's going to reference that. And so I think that how we generate content is going to be more specialized. Even right now, we're seeing the analogy I use is like if you go to a restaurant and you want Sprite, typically you want to fill it up with like Sprite, right? But if you fill it up with like, Dr. Pepper and Coke and all these other things, it's not going to taste like Sprite. So one topic, one answer, having a page that's specific about that thing. That's what's happening with the snippets and also position zero. So the content's going to be much more specialized on answering that specific question along the customer journey. And that's what Google's looking for is, can this person take this information and make whatever kind of action that they're going to make from that? And that's what Google's looking for. And that's what the referencing in sources is doing. You're seeing it with a table of contents. You're seeing it with putting summaries at the bottom of the action steps and citing those sources. I mean, that's how the internet was even started, was white papers, right? So it's all going to be pointing back to that data of how it pulled it together. And so I still think SEO, as that adoption happens, and content generation is going to be important. And then it's going to be referencing other content. So again, we don't know really where it's going to go, but it's certainly going to evolve. And as AI gets better, it'll continue to evolve. And so, like, if we're talking about where's it going to end up when it gets to this point, we can talk about that. But there's going to be all these kind of steps along the way. I mean, the end game is like, we have no jobs at all. We just sit around on universal income and computers do everything, and then maybe they destroy us. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the end game is, but like, it's how far you're looking out and what you have to do. And it's this, another theme is with Google somewhat is a little bit of, on the black hat side of things, you'll hear them say cat and mouse game, but it's like, it's constantly adapting to what the algorithm is doing to, again, reach the best possible user at the best possible time to get the best possible outcome for them and for you. And Google's the referee. Again, it's going to constantly be evolved.
This brings me to another question, which is sort of but we already sort of touched on it. But so if Google decides weed out content created by machines like AI generated content, how will we? What is going to be the use of this if just Google decides that it's a big no? Is it just going to stop the whole AI industry?
I think that so no, like, and we touched on this a little bit, like, hey, give us the top 10. So like helping you overcome the hurdle of writer's block and adding more creative pieces into it. So if that were to happen, right, and it is already, the systems have capability to identify AI generated content, right? Which I find amazing, right? But
it's an exception. It's I was seeing AIs writing prompts for other AIs.
Yeah,
I was watching a video on that, and a buddy of mine wrote that little thing and he pushed it out. I mean, it's going to keep changing.
Yeah. So I think that, I mean, that's one of the places that the tool is going to be used, and that could go on to perpetuity. I mean, one thing, and I'll probably hit on this multiple times, and this is something that we've been saying in the podcast, right, forever, really probably since 2009 when we started it. If you're providing a good experience to the Google user, then Google will look favorably upon you, right? And whether that's AI content, whether that's handwritten posted notes where you took a screenshot and posted them out there, like whatever it is that actually provides the good experience to the Google user, that's what is ultimately going to win.
Yeah, these new content guidelines. I mean, Google basically, I knew this, and we were already a little bit ahead of it. I was like, Google basically came out and said, give up. Right? They came out and said, we give up. We just want good content for the user. And it goes back to that creativity piece. I don't think you can put the genie back in the bottle. Okay. Like, if people want the best result possible for them, and that's what Google's trying to give, there's no way they're going to say no more. Also, with any kind of penalties and anything like that, Google more looks forward about what we're going to do, how we're going to dampen it, how we're going to do different things. They can't go backwards. And say Google did that, Bing's going to blow past them, right, on delivering the best possible answer. And like, that would be the best possible thing for Bing and Microsoft to do, is say, yeah, you should do that. You should do that, Google. You should totally do that. I mean, they came out and said, there's no way. Everybody's going to have to adapt to this, and they're going to have to adapt to it. And this is a high stakes poker game. I mean, I saw Google, and when they were rolling out BART, it answered that question wrong, and their stock price dropped by like, I don't know.
5%.
Yeah, it was, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, this is a high stakes game. It's not going backwards, it's going forward. It's more like, what's next going to happen, right? And what I'm even seeing on the AI art side of things, they can take and make real-time videos based upon a topic. Like, and they're pitching it to, like, I have a client that's pitching it to rappers right now, and it's making their videos for them. And then you can have AI write the song, and then you can have a deep fake, like, rap it. Like, I mean, I don't think entertainers, I actually don't think anybody's safe at all. Like, I think as the prompts get better, as the data set changes, as how you build the machine learning model, I bet AIs can be funny. I think they can be extremely funny. You've seen it with Australia. I think it's Dan. Like, you can make it break. That's the thing that's big right now, is everybody's trying to get around the parameters that these companies are setting and act as a different personality. If you say act as like David Chappelle, it can do that. Yeah. Like, it has enough body of work and make it funny or merge these two, but it's the creative aspect of it and how it's all going to interact.
That still leaves the door open to, right, because there is a Dave Chappelle. So who is the next comedian who communicates in a certain way that everybody finds funny? So if the AI can only emulate somebody else, then like,
and you could let's be real. I think that the next band or something like that, music that's going to come out, is going to be totally AI. It's going to be like an AI band first that, and then there's going to be royalty right issues.
Well, if we accept it by bands, I think maybe that's not a bad thing.
There's been an AI female artist in Asia, and there are already like newscasters that are completely AI. And I just watched a YouTube streamer who was totally substituted by AI. So they just used his video, replaced what he's saying, but they used his personality, his voice, and it just looks amazing. Oh, the only thing is like the mouth wasn't moving because his face is going to the sides and his mouth is like putting in the words there. But if you don't pay attention to the mouth, it just looks amazing. And like, combine that with deepfake, just combine all the different AIs, and you can, like you said, nobody's safe. Sorry.
Yeah. No, sorry. I just, I didn't want you to switch to another topic because I want to continue on this tangent. It is long. The thing that I will tell you is Andre from Black Eyed Peas. Okay, if you look at his backstory and how he's created so many like #1 hits,
do you mean will.i.am?
Right, like
will.i.am.
Yeah, I think actually,
it's funny because I was thinking about him because he's a cutting edge, take advantage of the technology kind of guy.
Yeah, like if whoever, I don't know his real name or anything, like, but I just know that I've read some stuff or seen some things on how he's created so many top hits, and he's using basically his brain as algorithm, and he's looking at all these #1 hits, and he's going, and they're going to follow this methodology.
Yep.
Right.
The crescendo and then a drop off.
Yeah. And then even like boy bands, I think or there's certain kinds of music out of Asia. I forget what it's called, but all the music it's doing is taking, what is it called?
K-pop?
Yes.
K-pop.
I think K-pop. And I watched a documentary on that, and there's a formula, right? And the reality is, if you have an AI machine learning, you feed it a data set, can it pop something out better than what's already out there? Because it can process so much information more than our brains. If you think about SEO, if you think about anything that you do, it's a system of processes that you've figured out, that you've created, that help you do that one thing, and then you refine it, and it's repetitive. Again, it can be applied, Andrew, to everything. I know that it's happening in music. Like, it's just going to get crazier, and maybe it will normalize itself at some point in this. But if you're growing up in this, it's like, learn how to do prompts. Like, that's my advice. Like, learn how to understand. Like, you might not need to know everything about how it's built, but like, you don't know everything about a car, but you know how to drive it, right? And
some people can, break the back end loose, right? Can drift it. So.
Some people can't drive a car at all. I thought.
Also true.
But back to you, Andrew.
So I wanted to take a different approach to this. And next question is about doing SEO research planning and making those top-level decisions. So how can AI help us do that? And will it actually be able to replace top-level decisions for businesses? Or is it just going to be like the way GPT presents right now? Itself is a pre-research preview tool, basically. So it's just already has the word research in it. But I'm just thinking about the next level decisions. Will it eventually be able to help businesses not only just take care of the smaller things, automation and content creation, but like making those big decisions?
So I'll come from the tangent back to here. Okay. Like, AI is used in stock trading today. Okay. It's processing data in a different data set in a different way with like some different algorithms. Can it help you make better business decisions from the C-suite down? Absolutely. Like, I think we're just now getting it affected at our level, but it's going to affect every level and be more productive. From bringing it back to like SEO research, content research, topic research. We're using it today. I was also working on drip campaigns, which, to get a template built, give me like the most effective 7 sets drip sequence. Boom. It gives it to me. Well, then I need to add my own personal touch. We were talking about that before, my experience. You're going to have to still add that stuff to it, but even creating topics. Hey, Chris was talking about what are the 10 best topics. Okay, give me a different set of topics. Hey, give me a different header. Give me a different meta description. Rewrite this article. There's going to still be, depending on where we are at the curve, like where we are in the future, yes, it's going to replace everything, right? That's going to be sentient. It's going to replace all humans. Like, where we're at on the curve, can it help you be more productive? Absolutely. Can it help you at every step of the way? Absolutely. What is working here? Like, sometimes the data set won't be fed into it to give you the answer you need to answer the question you're trying to answer. But again, the ChatGPT data set's huge right now, and there's so much that is put into it. And so it does a really good job answering that stuff. You can get around those parameters, and whatever you need, it's there to help you do it, or to at least give you a starting point.
So my 2 cents on that is maybe the current iteration of AI can't kind of get top level, right? Because if you think about what do we do as SEOs, is we look at the current results and we go, why are they getting these results? Oh, it's the links and putting that information together with the data that we do understand about Google. So obviously the backlink is really important. How important the headers where the backlink was is really important. And then the headers. And so we're really just trying to back end the algorithm. Well, now you can just have an algorithm that does that for you. It's going to probably do a better job. And some of these SEO tools out there are trying to do some of that, or I'm sure are thinking about that as a process. They've got it maybe a little bit more manual and less AI, but that's where we're at today. So all that's going to happen is like, there's just going to be this arms race of, okay, well, who's got the best algorithm that does the best job understanding that other algorithm? And then from that, like, how do we tweak our content? And it might be able to do a lot of this kind of automatically at some point.
Inception, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a battle.
Yeah, like what I'm thinking right now is it's gonna be able to tell a business when to buy out another business because it will eventually give you something. So I'm just thinking like it can go really, really crazy. And so it's very great, but at the same time, very daunting and scary stuff. Like if you think about it, because everybody's gotten used to sort of the way the world is, and this sort of brings in a whole new, I don't know, approach to everything. Because we're not only talking about content, it's just everything. Music, like you said, images. I was playing around with MidJourney and their prompt, like that's where you need to know more about the prompt because you don't really understand how to work with image AIs. But with textual, they're just very intuitive. But either way, I would love to know all the different prompts that exist. Well, you know, it's like last week I had no idea that I was gonna love this, and I just tested it out over the weekend, and I've just blown away ever since.
If you have any concerns about, you know, that things are changing faster, just rest assured that nothing will change slower than it is today. The rate of change that we're experiencing today is the slowest rate of change that we will experience moving forward. Like everything's going to change so much faster as we move out.
Yeah,
more people, more computer power, more processing, more like better algorithms.
No, I mean, I was just thinking yesterday, talking to a colleague of mine about singularity. That's basically where this is going. So I just hope that we will be able to catch up and just stay on top of everything that's happening, because it's really just like a year ago we were talking about mobile search and voice search, and now bam, you have this whole thing, and it's not just like an idea. It's an actual great product that is producing results. And let me just
So Andrew, you just gotta ride the wave and hold on. I mean, that as a digital marketer, that's what we've always had to do. Things continue to change and evolve, and even with social media, I mean, just hang on, ride the wave, don't fall off. You gotta. Again, that's why we do so much podcasting. That's really where it started. Is forces us to stay on top of it, right? Because if you don't stay up to date with what's going on, it'll pass you by, right? I mean, even like certifications, if you did any kind of certifications, right, with Google certification, right, I'm having everybody get recertified with GA4 because guess what? Like, you know, they're sunsetting regular Google Analytics. So if you did Google Analytics certification 6 months ago, it's going to be out of date in, what is it, May or something like that? Like
no longer useful.
Yeah. So, you know, you just got to be used to the constant change, and you gotta ride the wave and stay on the cutting edge. Like I've always seen, if you stay on the cutting edge of what's happening, you're gonna benefit so much more than everyone else that's swimming to catch up. And guess what? There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna get sucked into the current, and they're gonna be gone. Like, I mean, it happens in a lot of industries. It happens in oil and gas. We're big on oil and gas down here in Houston. And oil and gas, there's these ebbs and flows of the cycles. And it sheds so many people when the cycle's down, and then it hires a bunch of people when the cycle comes up. I think that happens in every industry. It happens with everyone. But yeah, if you're a marketer out there and you're writing content and you don't understand the prompts and you don't understand where it's going and you haven't used it, I mean, I was on a panel discussion recently. It's coming, okay? It's coming, and you can't hide your head in the sand. You have to embrace it and evolve with it, and be one of those operators. I think that in school, I think there's even probably, like when I was in school, I got a marketing degree, okay, from Texas A&M, and there wasn't even a digital marketing degree when I was there.
Yeah, it didn't exist.
Right? Yeah. Now there's going to be like prompt writing, like, you know what I mean? Like
how to properly write prompts for AI tools.
Yeah. So I don't know, but you're right, Andrew. We're going towards singularity, and like hang on, and then we'll see what happens when we hit it.
Yeah, but I love what you said, like ride the wave and hold on, because that's the best way. And one piece of advice that I want to get to our listeners is, don't just listen to this podcast and not try any of these tools. Go and explore them. Just download them or open them, log in, and just start exploring them. Because I really love what Matt said. Is the other way. Otherwise, you'll just miss it, and it'll be gone, and you will have no idea how to catch up with it.
I haven't played with these tools very much. Just real briefly, like go to chatgpt.com and create an account, or like
AI.
OpenAI.
They're free. So here's one of the things that I was saying, Andrew, on our podcast, was like when Twitter came out with the little blue check mark, I go, every social media platform saturated enough, and there's a bunch of nonsense, garbage.
Yeah.
I think garbage spam that's being created everywhere, all over the place. One of the ways to cut through that, Elon Musk, brilliant, is like, hey, it's going to cost money to create all these bot farms, right? You can't just create free accounts. And I said, it's coming.
Yeah.
I said, it's coming. And Facebook just announced it. And so, you know, and right now, that's what people are saying in these forums and stuff like that. I'm in some masterminds, private groups. People are just like, please start charging OpenAI, because it's just, you know, like basically the API feeds and like it's just proliferation of trash, you know, and is somewhat what could be happening. But yeah, Bing, you got to get on a wait list. ChatGPT, you got to get on a wait list. But, you know,
OpenAI.com?
Open.ai.
Open.ai.
You just go there and then set up an account, and then it'll have all your history. And then the same thing with Bing. And once you start using it and once you start playing around with these prompts, I mean, I have it open. Like I have it open on my desktop, just like music or whatever else. Like it's there. When I have a question, what I think that is interesting is it distills the information for you so clearly. Like, so if you want like the root of an answer in the most succinct fashion, you ask it that right question, right?
Yeah.
Or you ask it that prompt and it gives you that answer. And so I've started to use it outside of even work. I've just started to ask it like different things. And you're right. Like I think with stock prices and whatever data, like live feed that it has in it, will it be able to tell you to buy and sell stuff? Absolutely. Like I think there's algorithms out there that do it today, that stock trading uses it. But I mean, you can use it whatever you feed it. If it has it in the prompt, it can give you like a very good answer to then weigh out versus other answers. But I know that if you play with it, it'll gaslight you. It was basically because it feeds off the previous prompt, Chris. So it can pull off of what you said. So if you tell it, hey, it's 2022, and then you start asking about 2023, I was saying, it's like, no, we're in 2023. You can't go to 2022. It's how you interact with the prompt to get that proper answer. But that's the same thing with Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Open.ai, is that the same one that you played around with, Andrew?
Yeah. But I also played around with the MidJourney, like the image app, and my brother played around with the music app. So I've heard a lot of different things about it, and I just want to see, because what I was missing right now, and for example in ChatGPT, is it doesn't have any multimedia, it doesn't have any links, and that would be just amazing, because that's like ready content. Because I see that it says the average bounce rate should be 26 to 40%, and I'm like, who says who? So that's what's missing for me. And plus, like the multimedia makes it more scannable and readable, like, because that would be just a really
I think that having the citations, having the links and the answer, I think it's gonna probably be integrated. And I see Bing doing that. Going back to this inception, and I got that idea from my buddy's video that he sent me, because he has some AI tool that was running prompts for OpenAI. And then I think it goes to a different, whatever the search bar is. I just have that search bar saved, because it gets me around having to log in, and it just goes right into it. But essentially, I started, because it doesn't have the videos in it yet, I have I've tried out a couple different AI generating tools.
Yeah.
And there's certainly some parameters when you really get into the back end of what you can do. But I go, okay, we wrote this article, or okay, give me the topic. Okay, create, what should the content image look like? Because if you ask some of these AI generators like SEO or digital marketing, it gives you all this stock art, because everybody's going to use stock art. And it kills me that that's the definition of digital marketing and SEO, in image, with like image SEO. And that's actually like a focus of something that I'm working on. But yeah, I wrote an article, and then I asked OpenAI, I said, what's a good prompt to tell a writer to write the article for this? And it gave me the answer. The answer over here. And I was like, okay. And then I manipulated the prompts a little bit more to get what I was looking for. But I mean,
in the style of William Shakespeare,
Banksy. So Banksy is a big Web3 kind of artist. So I did Banksy art, and I just, it's going to blow my mind. But I think the thing that I would leave you with, and I don't know where we are on wrapping up with this, and I think we've covered some great stuff, and happy to keep going. But I think right now, where we're at right now, Andrew, if you take a snapshot in like the near future, it's an arms race who can create the most quality content the fastest, and AI is going to help you fill in the gaps, and Google's going to have to figure out what to do with it. And I think they're going to turn up the gear on links. That would be my prediction.
Well, I would add to that prediction, they're going to turn up the gear on user behavior.
Oh, well, yeah.
How long do we reside on that content?
They say dwell rate doesn't matter, but because they're using different parameters, but ultimately it's dwell rate, but it's answering the question the best, and then injecting that personalized content. Like It goes back to EAT. I mean, they just, what is it called, Andrew? You even had it in the show notes. What's the correct name of the content update release?
Google helpful. Well, all that I had written down. Google's helpful content update, basically.
That's what everybody needs to read. That is based. It's a modification of the EAT guidelines, and we did a podcast about EAT. We were joking around about it. Chris and I go on some tangents, as you can see sometimes. That's what's
yes.
I just
everybody gets the benefit of, like, we think we should just set up a camera and add when we're talking about all kinds of stuff, because we go all over the place. I mean, I'll give you one tangent. So we thought podcasting was like a great way to grow when he was really launching this supplement business, and we were like, let's get on George Nord, Coast to Coast AM, like with all the aliens.
Yep.
And it crushed it. Okay. Like,
so I don't know if Coast to Coast AM is kind of a late night radio talk show, and it talks about like conspiracies, JFK. If you're listening to the radio, and almost no one does these days, right? But if you're listening to the radio,
streaming it, it's all online
late at night, or streaming it, and they're talking about JFK or aliens, then you're probably listening to Coast, and that actually ended up to be a really good venue for presenting kind of new research, right? The new research behind the molecule that supports my supplement.
On the fringe, right?
They're more open-minded, right?
And so, again, I think it goes back to creative people today are going to win, right? If you're not creative, your job is at risk.
Yeah.
Like, I think, I think accounting, like, I think AI can pretty much do it if you give it the right inputs. Lawyers, like how creative can you be? I think creative people, but you've got to be able to utilize these tools. And when you're generating that content, how much of it's original? How much of it is getting added that's not in that data set, right? So you're either able to manipulate the prompts, or you're able to inject creative experiences that you've had, that you humanize and personalize it, but that Google helpful updates really lays it out. And then I've read some other articles, and they've like said, if it's good for the user and it helps them take the right action, there's certainly tips that you can do in writing blogs, but like that's going
to win.
That's going to win. And that's what's always won.
Yeah.
So it really hasn't changed. It's just how it's changed has changed.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
that's the reverse inception.
Yeah, I'd love to keep going with you guys because all the information is great, and I just love your presence and what you're sharing. But we're gonna sort of close it off, and I wanted to ask you guys for a couple of takeaways. But Matt has been blasting takeaways left and right. So perhaps just one takeaway from Chris and one from Matthew, but not bad. Yeah,
I've given all mine.
Yeah, you're giving them. So you're good. You're good.
Here's the nuggets.
I kind of alluded to. I will come back to this, and this really is something that we've been talking in the podcast and in our podcast, the Best SEO Podcast, since 2009, which is, if you provide a good experience to the Google user, Google will look favorably upon you. And this AI is a tool to help you accomplish that. And whoever does that the best is going to win.
What I wanted to say is that by the time this podcast goes live, we will probably have our AI writing tool live, and you guys can try it out. But I also wanted to ask you, Matthew, and you, Chris, if you wanted to promote anything or plug anything, because I see a couple of books on your table. Perhaps you have something to share with our listeners.
Well, I think I'll throw in, go check out the podcast. So you can go to bestseopodcast.com. Again, the title is the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. We've been broadcasting that since 2009, and we'll be recording another one this week. So it's great cutting edge content related to digital marketing.
And our format is just Chris and I bantering like we have been doing it. So we don't interview a lot of people, but that's the format. It's just us going back and forth on our opinions of content, as well as interesting news and articles that come out, as kind of curating those.
The latest algorithm change, whether it's the latest, top 5 list of, what to do in 2023, whatever it is, it's related to SEO, it's related to digital marketing, and we're kind of adding our 2 cents from the perspective of a digital marketing agency owner and a creative strategist, right? So digital marketing creative strategist. So
yeah, I've written a few books, a lot on branding, personal branding. I really saw
Build Your Brand Mania was one of them. Yeah.
And then Rise of the Personal Brand. I have another one called Know, Like, and Trust that's coming out about podcasting, because I'm doing a lot of stuff in the podcasting space. We're even working with Better Business Bureau, Voice Council of America. We're working in the real estate space. So we're kind of evolving from, user-generated content on a wide scale. It is podcasting and is a way to, certainly the 7-second or 5-second sound bites from a TikTok is certainly like a lead in to longer form content. We're coming from a content generation standpoint from the medium, but I saw branding and personal branding being something that was merging with SEO, because I call SEO online PR, right? I feel like PR is just like advanced SEO, and what Google's trying to do is match what's happening in the real world, right? Like, so one of the things that we should have done that we didn't do, we got to do a better job, driving directions, right? We're going to the office, hit the driving directions button. Google's trying to capture everything that's going on in the real world here, and you're trying to make connections and ties to that. And that's what the authorship of what Google's trying to do, and where that content's coming from, that authority piece is. And so I just saw the personal branding aspect of it being a huge piece years ago. And so Build Your Brand Mania is about how to build your personal brand online. Rise of the Personal Brand is a compilation book. Chris is in it. And it's how different people have built their brand, just like with these prompts and this writing. Everybody's done it a separate way and been successful. So it highlights that. And then Know, Like, and Trust is really going into podcasting, how to do it, how to start your own. What are the advantages of it? Because that's one of the big things, how we've been able to bring on clients, really globally and across North America, even though we're locally based in Houston. Certainly we have a big Houston presence, but we've been able to reach more people through that medium. And I think it's really quite powerful. So, I'm also coming out with MatthewBertram.com, because, like, as Chris said, I'm very hard to put your finger on what I'm working on, what I'm doing. And so that will be a good source. But yeah,
tell me about it. When I was putting together your bio, I was like, what this guy does so many things at the same time. As I was like wondering what exactly you do, because you're just not all over the place, but like you have your hands in many different areas.
There's a method to the madness. There's a method. Only I might know it, but yeah,
it's just a prompt that needs to go into an AI tool, and it'll tell you what you're doing.
Well, I'm looking at that. It's good. Google's kind of put me in the knowledge graph. It like tells me what I am, and I'm like, okay, this is what Google thinks I am. I should
use that.
I need to I use that. And like, okay, I need to modify it. I need to build more content in this area, and that's what it's about today, right? Attention is information, and who you are is a body of work and a compilation of who you are represented online, and AI is going to kind of tell you that over the course of your life. It's kind of crazy. We can get real deep here, but that's me. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I'm all over the place. But MatthewBertram.com might be a good way. I don't know. I thought usually we were going to say when this came out, like it was already good. All this.
Yeah, everything would have changed.
Because, it's moving so fast. So, but thank you for having us on.
Yeah.
I appreciate the socks, SE ranking, and all the gifts over the holidays. We appreciate it. We love y'all.
Yeah.
This has been amazing, guys, and I just can't wait to see how this whole AI thing plays out. And I would love to have you guys back for another chat in a couple of months, maybe to see where we are in the progress of AI and machine learning. So yeah, just want to thank you guys for being here, and want to sign off by saying today, Matt, Bertram, and Christopher Burres shared with us their thoughts and expert opinions on the role of machine learning and AI at SEO, and looks like it is here to stay. So thank you for your time, and join our next episode of SEO Rankings Do Follow podcast.
Bye-bye for now.
Take care, guys. Thank you. This has been great.
Thanks, Andrew.